Hey everyone, Regal here, and welcome back to Around the Campfire. I hope you enjoyed last week's episode, or not last week, maybe. I'm not sure when this one's going up. It could be Friday, it could be the next Monday. We'll see how I feel you'll see when it's uploaded. Anyway, I had my fun last time with the terrible story, the bad story, the poo-poo stinky story, but now I want to do one that I think will end up being a bit better. But truth be told, I've never read this story before. I only know that I've heard it's pretty good. So we're going to take, the collective good word of the internet at face value here, as you should always do. If it's on the internet, it must be true. Now, tonight's story was made by Kris Straub. At least I believe that's how you pronounce his name. Bam, it's on screen. And has been adapted into all sorts of things. I'm going to leave the original Reddit post and his Instagram in the description below. If you like tonight's story and want to support him, it's a good way to start. Shut up! Sorry. Anyway, if you enjoyed tonight's story and want to support him, that'd be a good way to start. Fuck. God damn it, Siri. If you enjoyed tonight's story and want to... If you enjoyed tonight's story and want to support him, that'd be a good place to start. And you may also know him as the guy... And if you're into analog horror as a whole, you may know him as the guy who made Local 58, which is very cool. I don't know how well-versed my audience is in that kind of thing, but it's there if you like it. Anyway, tonight's story is called Candle Cove. Without further ado, let's begin. Skyshale 033. Subject: Candle Cove Local Kids Show. Does anyone remember this kids show? It was called Candle Cove, and I must have been 6 or 7. I never found reference to it anywhere, so I think it was on the local station around 1971 or 1972. I lived in Ironton at the time. I don't remember which station, but I do remember it was on at a weird time, like 4 p.m. Mike_Painter65. Subject: RE, Candle Cove Local Kids Show. It seems really familiar to me. I grew up outside of Ashland and was about 9 years old in 72. Candle Cove, was it about pirates? I remember a pirate marionette at the mouth of a cave talking to a little girl. Skyshale 033. Subject: RE, Candle Cove Local Kids Show. Yes! Okay, I'm not crazy. I remember Pirate Percy. I was always kind of scared of him. He looked like he was built from other parts of other dolls. Real low budget. His head was like an old porcelain baby doll. It looked like an antique that didn't belong on his body. I don't remember what the station was. I don't think it was WTSF, though. Jaren_2005. Subject: RE, Candle Cove Local Kids Show. Sorry to resurrect this old thread, but I know exactly what you mean, Skyshale. I think Candle Cove ran for only a few months in 71, not 72. I was 12 and watched it a few times with my brother. It was Channel 58, whatever station it was. My mom would let me switch to it after the news. Let me see if I remember. Let me see what I remember. It took place in Candle Cove, and it was about a little girl who imagined herself to be friends with pirates. The pirate ship was called the Laughingstock, and Pirate Percy wasn't a very good pirate because he got scared too easily. And there was calliope music constantly playing. Don't remember the girl's name. Janice or Jade or something. I think it was Janice. Skyshale 033. Subject: RE, Candle Cove Local Kids Show. Thank you, Jaren. Memories flooded back when you mentioned the Laughingstock in Channel 58. I remember the bow of the ship was a wooden smiling face with the lower jaw submerged. It looked like it was swallowing the sea, and it had that awful Ed Wynn voice and laugh. I especially remember how jarring it was when they switched from the wooden plastic model to the foam puppet version of the head that talked. Mike_Painter65. Subject: RE, Candle Cove Local Kids Show. I remember now too. Do you remember this part, Skyshale? You have to go inside. Skyshale 033. Subject: RE, Candle Cove Local Kids Show. Ugh, Mike, I got a chill reading that. Yes, I remember. That's what the ship always told Percy when there was a spooky place he had to go in. Like a cave or a dark room where the treasure was. And the camera would push in on the Laughingstock's face with each pause. You have to go Inside! With his two eyes askew and the flopping foam jaw and the fishing line that opened and closed it. Ugh, just looked so cheap and awful. You guys remember the villain? He had a face that was just a handlebar mustache above really tall, narrow teeth. Kevin underscore Hart. Subject R.E. Candle Cove Local Kids Show. I honestly thought the villain was Pirate Percy. I was about 5 when the show was on. Nightmare fuel. Jaren underscore 2005. Subject R.E. Candle Cove Local Kids Show? That wasn't the villain. The puppet with the mustache. That was the villain's sidekick, Horace Horrible. He had a monocle too, but it was at the top of the mustache. I used to think it meant he only had one eye. But yeah, the villain was another marionette, the Skin Taker. I can't believe what they let us watch back then. Kevin underscore Hart. Subject R.E. Candle Cove Local Kids Show? Jesus H. Christ, the Skin Taker? What kind of kids show were we watching? I seriously could not look at the screen when the Skin Taker showed up. He just descended out of nowhere on his strings. Just a dirty skeleton wearing that brown top hat and cape, and his glass eyes that were slightly too big for his skull. Christ almighty. Skyshale033. Subject R.E. Candle Cove Local Kids Show? Wasn't his top hat and cloak all sewn up, all crazily? Wasn't that supposed to be children's skin? Mike underscore Painter 65. Subject R.E. Candle Cove Local Kids Show. Yeah, I think so. Remember his mouth didn't open and close. His jaw just slid back and forth. I remember the little girl said, "Why does your mouth move like that?" And the Skin Taker didn't look at the girl, but at the camera and said, "To grind your skin!" Skyshale033. Subject R.E. Candle Cove Local Kids Show. I'm so relieved that other people remember this terrible show. I used to have this awful memory. A bad dream I had where the opening jingle ended. The show faded in from black, and all the characters were there, but the camera was just cutting to each of their faces, and they were just screaming. And the puppets and the marionettes were flailing spastically, and all just screaming. Screaming. The girl was just moaning and crying like she had been through hours of this. I woke up many times from that nightmare. I used to wet the bed when I had it. Kevin underscore Hart. Subject R.E. Candle Cove Local Kids Show? I don't think that was a dream. I remember that. I remember that was an episode. Skyshale033. Subject R.E. Candle Cove Local Kids Show. No. Not possible. There was no plot or anything. I mean, literally just standing in place crying and screaming for the whole show. Kevin underscore Hart. Subject R.E. Candle Cove Local Kids Show. Maybe I'm manufacturing the memory because you said that, but I swear to God, I remember seeing just what you described. They were just screaming. This is the intro that played at the beginning of the episode. Jaren underscore 2005. Subject R.E. Candle Cove Local Kids Show? Oh God, yes, the little girl, Janice. I remember seeing her shake, and the Skin Taker screaming through his gnashing teeth, his jaw careening so wildly I thought it would come off his wire hinges. I turned it off, and it was the last time I watched. I ran to tell my brother, and we didn't have the courage to turn it back on. Underscore Painter 65. Subject R.E. Candle Cove Local Kids Show. I visited my mom today at the nursing home. I asked her about when I was little in the early 70s, when I was 8 or 9, and if she remembered a kids show, Candle Cove. She said she was surprised I could remember that and asked why. She said she was surprised I could remember that, and I asked why. She said because I used to think it was so strange that you said, "I'm going to go watch Candle Cove now, Mom," and then you would tune the TV to static and just watch dead air for 30 minutes. You had a big imagination with your little pirate show. An anecdote edit. Love this show. Horace Horrible was my favorite. I remember looking everywhere for his action figure, but Kitty City and KB had never even heard of the line. I finally found a talking Horace, good as new, at somebody's yard sale. Though I didn't see a house around and never saw those people again, I was pretty excited and ran right to my friend's home to gloat. When his mom answered the door, she let out the most guttural scream I've ever heard, absolutely scaring the shit out of me. She told me to get lost with that thing and slammed the door in my face. My kid logic concluded that she must have known I bought a toy from a stranger completely unsupervised, and that it must have been an even more serious crime than I thought. So I did my best to keep Horace hidden, especially from my own parents. But his voice chip was pretty damn loud. Every so often he'd go off by himself like his battery was dying. My mom kept asking if Marble, our cat, was in my room. I don't know how you could mistake that goofy chuckling for a cat. It was subtle at first, but after a few days he started to smell weird. His voice kept getting weaker and more garbled, and his joints kept getting looser like they were ready to drop off. I was afraid of getting caught and we didn't have trash pickup, so I did what any rational child does when he thinks he has contraband and buried it in the woods. I never found another one, or figured out what was wrong with him. But it's the weirdest thing. A tree grew where I left him. I shit you not, in just a couple of weeks. It never grew leaves, and it never got much taller than me. But it's there to this day. And every summer it swarms with a disturbing number of flies, wasps, and ants. I hope I don't need to explain to you that this story is just better than Jeff the Killer. And it's hard to just explain when something is inherently better in a writing sense. At least for me it is, because I don't really know how to tell you that the dialogue is just written better. Which, granted, it's not in the form of a story. It's written in the style of a chain email, which I understand that my audience is a bunch of Zoomers, and we don't know what the hell a chain email is, but it's fashioned to resemble like an AOL instant messenger kind of thing, which is why I think when I edit this, I'm gonna try and put in the AOL alert sound but that might get annoying pretty quick because I read fast and that might get annoying after a while. I don't know, but I really like this story. It's a classic for a reason. This story is fucking 13 years old, if even less than that. I love the little Local 58 reference, or I guess a reverse reference, because I think Candle Cove came first, but Local 58, it aired on the Spooky Alien channel. Well, not aliens, but... Anyway, but I mean, obviously you can tell this writer's a bit more experienced, and I say this writer like I don't know the man's name. Kris is writing this, and you can very clearly tell that he is experienced in this kind of thing and knew what he was doing when he was writing it. And that shows in spades. And the twist at the end that the show wasn't real, and it was just kind of this weird static solution, it almost makes me think that it's like subliminal messages. Like, it looks like static, but if you stare at it, intently, maybe when you're young enough, you can start seeing patterns in the static, and it kind of implants these false memories into your head, almost like almost like an MK Ultra situation, or I didn't really have anything beyond, almost like an MK Ultra situation. And then the puppet is a bit of a weird thing. I think you probably could have just left it at the static, and I think when people read the story, they tend to just leave it at the static because the puppet's kind of weird. Like, it was buried, and then it grew a tree, a little leafless tree, and then it has bugs and stuff around it every summer. Like, it's rotting, but it's not rotting because it's still there. I don't know. That's really weird to me. I don't know what to make of that. Anyway, you may recall that I said Candle Cove has been adapted into a lot of things. Well, chief among them, this series on sci-fi, if, again, Zoomers, bear with me, television channels, TV, there was one called Sci-Fi. They adapted Candle Cove into an anthology series called Channel Zero, which I believe expands upon and retells Candle Cove in a much more holistic way, because I just read to you the whole thing, and it would not make for a good anthology story. I have never seen it. I think I'm going to watch it now. I'm very interested to see how it ends up looking, so I know I'm going to be watching it. I hope you do too. And support Kris Straub in everything he's going to continue, because I'm sure, like everything, I haven't checked in on Local 58 yet, but I think that'd be, or I haven't checked in on it in a minute, but I do want to check in on that at some point. I haven't checked in on Local 58 in a minute, but I think it'll probably be pretty... Fucking hell. I haven't checked in on Local 58 in a minute, but I've been meaning to. And I'm sure he's got some other stuff that's pretty interesting. But while I'm talking about supporting people, you can definitely go and subscribe to moi. I make quality content, or at least I try to. And I try to get it out every week. So hit the button, hit the bell, hit the thumbs up, and maybe even leave me a comment. Tell me Would you watch Candle Cove if you could? If I were to just broadcast 24/7 live static, would you watch it? Be honest with me. But I think that's just about all the time we have for today's video. And I think that's just about all the time we have for today's video. So if you liked it, please make sure to let me know by leaving a like and a comment down below. And as always, I will see you in the next one. I hope you will join me around the campfire. Take care. Bye-bye! And there was coyote music constantly playing. How the fuck do you say that word? What the hell kind of word is that? Calliope? Calliope. Calliope. Jaren _ 2005. Subject RE can. Fuck! I finally messed it up. I never found another one or figured out what was wrong with him, but it's the weirdest thing. A tree grew where I let. Oh, fucking what, Koi? I figured out what was wrong with him. But it's the weirdest thing. A tree grew where I left him, I shit you not. In just a couple of weeks, it never grew leaves, and it got so much taller than me. Fuck, still wrong.